Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, we're gonna be getting back to working on the truck. I wanna start this video off by apologizing. I became that guy. I became the guy that keeps saying his build is gonna be done, but it never gets done. I told myself I was gonna finish it as quickly as possible, and it didn't happen, and it's been sitting in my shop for like a month now, and it's so depressing. I'm sorry, but it's done. It's done, no more sitting, all right? Things are starting to happen. Today, we're gonna be fixing some sketchy stuff that the last shop did to the truck. If I leave it the way they gave it to me, it's dangerous. So I have to fix that stuff. Then we have to make an exhaust for it. I'm guessing the exhaust will be in the next video, but we have to make an exhaust for it. I spent the entire day yesterday just practicing welding, and I finally got the hang of it. I'm laying some dimes, it looks really good, so I'm confident now that I can weld up an exhaust. The problems from the last shop, number one, the bolts holding the motor mounts in have about two or three threads holding them in. The bolt isn't quite long enough. I don't know if they didn't realize it or if they realized it and didn't care, but they pretty much gave me an engine that's being held in by about 6 threads worth of bolt. The problem is that they put the bolt in through the top and it's so long that it can't come up through the motor mount without hitting the headers. But I think I can do it by just removing the motor mount from the block. Either way, way too difficult, shouldn't be that hard. When the shop raised the motor to have the headers clear the steering shaft, the motor got much closer to the firewall. It's actually touching the firewall. The cylinder head on the passenger side is touching the firewall, and the wiring harness is really squished between the firewall and the block, so that's not good. Yeah, so we're gonna fix all that. Before we start working, I do want to thank this video's sponsor, Cove Speakers. The Cove Commuter is a really awesome wireless Bluetooth speaker. This thing has a bunch of really awesome features. It has a touchscreen up top to change songs. It, of course, is Bluetooth, it's wireless, but it also has an aux cord if you want to use an aux cord. When you're using Bluetooth, you have 30 feet of range, up to 8 hours of battery life. It has a subwoofer. It actually has really nice bass for being such a small speaker. It also has a built-in mic, so if you get a call while you're using the speaker, you can use the speaker as a mic instead of having to, pick up your phone, disconnect it, and use the phone. It's a really awesome speaker. You can use it for a bunch of stuff. You can use it while you're working on your project cars. The truck does not have a radio. It doesn't even actually have speakers in the door. It has like 2 little tiny speakers in the dash, so a radio would just sound terrible in this thing. It would not be worth the effort of wiring up a radio in that. So that's what I'm gonna use this thing for. I'm gonna use it as a race car radio, race truck radio. Bonus points if you can guess that song. The best thing is that you guys can save 65% off the Cove Commuter speaker right now if you go to link in the description. So thank you again to Cove for sponsoring this video, for sending out essentially a radio for the drift truck, and for giving you guys 65% off their awesome speaker. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and start working on the drift truck. The one thing I'm realizing after getting better with my TIG welder is that some of these welds on the truck are really bunk and they might break. Some of them are good, some of them are bad though. So we're gonna reinforce the motor mounts a little bit too, hopefully to help that. If you look right there, the cylinder head is hitting the firewall. I also love that they made the headers sit so high that I literally have to either modify the headers or the transmount in order to get an exhaust through here. The reasoning for this was to prevent it from scraping on the ground, but the frame's like 3 inches lower than the exhaust. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 rotations and the nut falls off. Ooh, that one got 7 rotations before the nut fell off. Right, so I've pretty much decided it's gonna be easier to pull the motor than to try to fix the motor mounts with the motor in there. What I'm gonna do, instead of unbolting the trans and doing it that way, I'm gonna make the motor be able to come out the front. I'm gonna cut the front end up. Pretty much the only thing that prevents the motor from coming out this way is this, because this is too far close and too high for the motor to be able to snake out. So I'll just cut it and then build mounts that will be able to make it bolt back in. So we can unbolt it, slide the motor out for the front, and then bolt it back in when the motor's back in. It looks so dumb. Yeah, it looks messed up like this, but it looks kind of funny. Do you guys ever have those like deja vu dream moments where you swear something that just happened, you had a dream about it like a year ago? That totally just happened to me. I swear I had a dream like a year ago that I was cutting metal on the ground, listening to Grum, working on a truck. But like, I don't know if I actually had the dream a year ago or if I'm just, for some reason, thinking that it was a dream a year ago. Because if I did have a dream about it a year ago, like, how did I know that? How did that happen? I don't know. That just blows my mind. Anyway, cut out some pieces of metal. I'm gonna weld it to this side and then it'll bolt into this side and I'll cut it. Right, so I went ahead and bolted everything back together. The front cross member is in. It is really sturdy already, but to make it a little bit more sturdy, I'm going to connect this right here to that right there. It used to be connected over here, but I cut that mount off to fit the overflow nozzle. I've spent so much time on this cross member, but dude, this is going to save so much time in the future. Imagine having to unbolt the trans every time we wanted to pull the engine. That would be such a pain in the butt. Whereas now, take off the grill, unbolt the cross member, take out the radiator, the engine can pull out.
Hey!
Well, how was your experience unbolting that?
It was 19 millimeter, 19 millimeter, 17 millimeter, and guess what? 17? No, it was 16.
There's 3 different bolt sizes for that one thing. This motor looks so much cooler with a transmission on it and a pair of OK headers. We got it out. When we put it back in, we're gonna take the shifter out because that was a huge pain in the butt. But it is out. So this was the bolt they used. It wasn't long enough to hold the motor in safely, and it's too long to get out the top. I don't know why they didn't put it in through the bottom. That would have been the smart move to do. But they did it. Pretty much all this effort is just so I can get this out, so I can replace this bolt so my motor doesn't fall out while I'm drifting.
Take note, kids.
Think about something like 10 times before you do it. So they would have just thought like, huh, should we put the bolt to the top or the bottom? Oh, the top. And then wait a second, we can't get it out now. Oh! This is what we had to do to get that bolt out. And now I'm gonna put it back in. All right, put the motor back in, let's go.
How does that feel to take this thing
It feels so depressing.
Does it?
Yeah, because I've done all this work and now we're back to square one. There's no motor in it. But all we have to do is, where's my hammer? We got a good amount of progress done last night. The engine is out. I banged in the firewall quite a bit, and then I removed the plastic cover for the wiring harness, and I rewrapped it with electrical tape and zip tied it up as far back. Plastic part of the wiring harness was rubbing up against the firewall, so removing that and pushing the wiring harness back should gain us quite a bit of clearance. I love how our removable centerpiece came out. I'm really happy with that. I really dig how this motor looks with the transmission and the headers on. And it's actually kind of funny because the transmission looks freaking tiny. It's so small, and then boop. I'm also gonna go ahead and change the plugs and wires, or the plugs and coil packs. When the engine is inside the truck, one of the spark plugs is right underneath the brake booster. So if that one happened to be bad, we couldn't replace it. All the other ones are really easy to access, but I might as well replace it now while it's out. And $100 later, everything needed to fix this thing. Spark plugs changed. Not pretty, but it's better than looping an entire line up and around. Another lovely thing I found, they must have begun tightening that bolt, then realized it was ripping the heat wrap and said, they already did all the damage. So I'm just gonna tighten it because I want all my header bolts tight. I'm gonna check all of them to make sure they're tight because I don't really trust them. I scuffed up the paint so I can kind of repaint over all the marks from ramming in the firewall, and then I will also repaint the new tabs on the motor mounts. Cool. Paint's dry and everything is ready, so we're gonna go ahead and try to throw this motor back in here. We took the shift route, so it should be a little bit easier, and there should be more room now. So we're pretty much just gonna try to snake it in, get the motor mounts in roughly the right position, get the cross member for the transmission in the roughly right position, align everything, and then tighten everything down. Update time. My camera, the battery has been dying repeatedly, so I went ahead and repainted the strut tower brace because they had to cut it up. I'm painting the trans tunnel plate black. Everything is bolted together. Almost everything is, hooked back up. Throttle cable, fuel lines, vacuum lines, that's all good. Radiator is back in with our new Mishimoto fans. The cross member is in and that looks really good. I went ahead and heat reflective taped the heat shield on both sides, so that should keep things nice and cool. I also went ahead and put a heat sleeve like that on the clutch line that's down here, and I kind of rerouted it so it's not touching the headers anymore. Yeah. There we go. You can see the reflective tape right there. That's the heat shield. Some really cool news. You guys know that I had an external oil filter on the car because the oil filter wouldn't fit in between the frame. I was wrong, it actually does fit in between the frame. So, boom, oil filter right there. It's a super, super convenient location. And now I don't have to worry about the lines leaking or any of that BS. So you can see everything is good in here. Radiator fans, cross member. Motor mounts are actually all the way bolted in. You can see that there are actually threads going through the entire bolt now, and the bolt is going up through the top instead of down to the bottom, or up through the bottom instead of down to the top. I adjusted the throttle cable and the throttle pedal, so now that full throttle is full TPS sensor. Look, there's room behind the engine. I can stick my hand like all the way back here and I can move them around. So that's awesome. No more rubbing wiring harness, no more rubbing cylinder head. So the hammer worked. All the bolts for the grill and stuff all lined back up, so the cross member is perfect. I'm super, super happy about how that turned out. I'm just super happy. I'm so excited. At the beginning of this video, I was kind of depressed because like, here I am taking apart this truck that I've spent so much money on and I've spent so much time working on getting it to the point that it's at now. And I'm taking it apart, having to fix things that I should have fixed, well, I shouldn't have had to fix, and order new parts and do all this crap. But I worked my butt off. I got the motor out. I got the cross member all cut so we can pull the motor now correctly. I fixed all the issues that, you know, the shop kind of caused, fixed some of the issues that I caused, figured out some ways that I didn't have to order any new parts, got that oil filter working, put the motor back in, bolted everything back in, and it's done. Everything is done, literally everything. The only thing we need to do is put the radiator lines on, fill it with, you know, water, oil, trans fluid, make the drive shaft, which Mike's shop is kind of doing, and then it's done. Obviously, it needs to get wired up, but we do have an official date. The truck is going to Mike's shop on Monday. So this coming Monday, when you're watching this, is when the truck is being wired up. Hopefully that will take a week or two, and then it will run, and then we'll dyno it, and then we can't really drive it because it's cold outside. But screw it, I'm gonna drive it anyway. So yeah, I'm definitely really excited now. I'm much more confident. It sucks that we had to take the truck apart, but now everything is working. There's nothing that's sketchy. I was debating in my mind whether or not I wanted to go through this effort to make these things right, but I'm really glad I did because it didn't take that much time, and now we don't have to do it in the future. It's not sketchy. It's not gonna like fall out the motor, and I'm not gonna die. I'm sorry about scaring you guys with the title and the thumbnail. You probably saw the title and you're like, oh, now we have to wait another 2-3 months until the truck runs. But no, I'm also really happy because we've proved the point that the truck it's easy to work on. I was worried that with the big motor in there, things would just be impossible to do and it would be a pain in the butt to work on, but it really isn't. It was easy. We got the motor in like an hour. We got it out in like 2 hours. It's not bad. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Lots of truck stuff coming up in the future. Tomorrow, in the next video, we are going to be making the exhaust for it. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like. It really helps. If you didn't enjoy the video, please give it a dislike, but tell me why. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. This truck is gonna be running and ripping very soon. I'm so excited for this truck to be done. All this hard work, it's paying off, and it's about to run. So thank you guys for watching. Peace out, goodbye, and have a great day or night.